Sakuyanade Bol Olaram, or hello everyone and welcome. A Wolves Den Games is proud to present Therapeutic Thursdays with your host, Garoyalor Kier. Howdy, folks. Welcome. Um, this is a little different from the last time we had done this, mostly due to you'll notice the screen's a little different from the last time. Howdy, Puddle Jumper. Welcome. Glad you could join us. We're going through some basic D&D character creation today, if you'd like to hang around with us for it. If not, then I completely understand. There's plenty of stuff out there to watch. For the moment, we do have a patron of ours who will be joining us at some point. I want to leave that on, but turn these off. Due to we have a one-shot that we've been working on, and we're looking to be able to play test that before too long. Just trying to make sure I have everything up here. Okay, so until our patron is prepared, what we're going to do here is we're going to go over some of the basic character creation stuff and see how things go. For the most part, these are going to be NPCs for either the current one-shot that we're working on or additional NPCs. We're working on a... altogether, we are working on a large setting guide, which we hope to kind of progress forward into being able to get a full world out there. But it takes kind of climbing to that point. We'll set this at manual. So we'll just make some general NPCs for the moment until our patron is able to join us. There are links available on the bot here in chat on Twitch for those who may be interested. Exclamation point, and then depending on what information you're looking up, should be able to bring something up for you. I don't have a name for this character currently, and rather than worry about it for now, let's see if we can figure out where to start first. Let's see, I have a couple of tabaxi so far. There's a lizard folk. Hello, Miss Adika. Any thoughts, anybody, as far as what race we should go for starting out here? I personally, from the Skyrim runs, I have a tendency to kind of think tabaxi these days, but I'm willing to work with just about anything. One second. Yep, for this one it's an NPC. Our patron Andres, aka Alex, has some things to do, so we figured buy them a little time and work on some NPCs until then. Half orc. I can go with that. We'll start with half orc. Let's see. For those who are unaware, that means +2 to strength, +1 to constitution, which is always good. Constitution helps determine your hit points. Dark vision is pretty straightforward. Allows you to see in the dark up to 30 feet, I think. Menacing would be You get a particular bonus to intimidation, I believe it is. Relentless endurance means when you hit 0 hit points, you go back up to 1 hit point. Savage attacks, I don't recall, but I'm sure we'll get to that. Let's see, they tend to be between 14 and 75 years. They tend toward chaos and evil. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they will be evil or bad in any way, shape, or form. Especially in my world. My world tends to work a little bit odd. Yeah, yeah. Being an adult is difficult. Absolutely. Okay, there's a dark vision. There's a menacing. Oh, okay, so it's just proficiency and intimidation. That can be so true. Especially when you're struggling with anxiety at the same time. Adulting can be very difficult. Okay, relentless endurance when you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright. You can drop to 1 hit point instead. There we go. I know, right? And I've lived in a lot of hoods. I was born in San Jose, California, and I've been all over the country since. Let's see, when you score a critical hit, you can double the dice once. That's not bad. Common and orc. Okay, so we'll go with that for this first character. Trying to keep track of everywhere here. That way, when our patron needs to get a hold of me and say, hey, I need to jump on, is that cool? Then I can sit there and be like, yeah, we're all set. Yeah, so that's all set currently. So now let's go for a class. There are quite a few of these I don't actually have a bunch of experience with, but I'm relatively new to Dungeons and Dragons. It's just me, or does that light seem a little bright? 1 second. Is that better? That's better. That's not quite so bright. Wizard? Wizard because of Caleb. I can go with that. Let's see. So that's 1d6 per wizard level. Because wizards are glass cannons. They can do a lot of damage, but they can't take a whole lot of it. Which kind of makes sense. But adding the half-orc bonus to Constitution will also be helpful. No armor proficiencies. Minor weapons. Yeah, that's usually how it ends up happening, huh? Let's see. Spell casting, arcane recovery. At the end of a short rest, you can recover expended spell slots. Wow. That's good to know. Hello, Bay. Welcome. Just kind of doing some NPC character creation here. Let's see. I've never really made a wizard before, so I'm not really sure what the heck I'm doing, to be completely honest. But it's kind of the point. I gotta learn these things, right? Let's see. Proficiencies. Arcana, history, insight, investigation, medicine, religion. As a wizard, Arcana just makes sense. Now, I'm not sure. Insight and Arcana? makes sense to me. Spellcasting is based on what? Wisdom or intelligence? Spellcasting. Thank you, Bay. Yeah, I don't always remember that. Okay, so that means we get... Oh, we don't get any spells yet. Or we do, but we don't technically get them until... Uh, I don't know if I have a thing for that yet. We need to set some things up for the bot on some of the other commands there. Um, yeah, on the other page we have all of our other stuff. That's where we go when we're actually playing video games. When we're building for this, uh, it kind of hides all those links, doesn't it? Let's see. Due to dark vision, I think I can go without the light. How many cantrips do we get? 3 cantrips? I know what wizard spell I tend to go for, because Frumpkin, but I don't know. Magic Missile would be very, very useful, especially early on. Yeah, we're going with a half orc wizard, so we're kind of seeing how things go from there. Um, okay, let's see. What we should do is actually we should get our dice or our other stuff figured out, and then we'll come back to this. Um, because at first level, just it's the way I tend to do things at my table. Max on the first one. It's the only one you get free, fully maxed out. But other than that, I mean, you're welcome to, Miss Adika, but where is my... I set my dice tray down somewhere, and I set my dice... Okay. There's the dice. Because it's almost tradition to have Crown Royal bags for that. At least it seems like it. Where's my tray? 1 second, folks. Please bear with us. I just gotta find the dice tray. I will just be a moment. There we go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Bay. Miss Adika told me at exactly the same time, because she's right next to me. Okay, let's get some D6s here. There's one.
Oh, they're so pretty. 2.
I mean, I know I've got more right there, but I kind of prefer the fancier dice.
Right.
Ah! Not...
Don't spill them in your coffee. That's not where they go.
There's one.
Stop.
Well, it's a good thing there's a lid on my coffee
And
then.
a lap right there.
Well, yeah.
Hi, Bay.
Okay, we're getting there. I apologize for kind of the fluttering around here. Okay, here we go. So, go ahead and give the dice a roll. We'll skip over here to our abilities.
Alright, here we go.
Set that to manual.
Uh,
Remove the lowest.
I know. That's 10.
Okay, so we have... Oh, let's write these down. I'm not one of those that just puts them straight across. So, okay, so we have a 10.
Uh-huh. 14.
14.
Uh-huh. 15.
Wow, that's some pretty good rolls.
Means I'm gonna roll like crap on Sunday. 5.
5.
It's 3 ones and a
Yep.
3.
I know.
So you just had to say something.
Well, it's an NPC, so I won't mess with
17.
it. Yikes. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. I know where that 5 is going.
9.
And a 9. Okay.
Alright.
So I'm putting the 5 in strength because
I'm out.
it's a wizard. And that way it's 7 total, which is better than 5. Let's see. We definitely want his constitution up there. So let's drop the 10, the next highest, in charisma. So just to kind of get things moving a little bit. And thank you, Miss Adika, for coming in to roll the dice for us. So that leaves us a 14. No, let's put the 9 in charisma. That frees up the 10, right? Yes. So a 9 in charisma. Yep, that's it. Let's put the 10 in dexterity. So we have a 14, a 15, and a 17. Part of me wants to put the 17 in intelligence because wizard. Next highest in constitution, maybe? Actually, that makes sense, doesn't it? How's that look, folks? 7, 10, 16, 17, 14, 9. I don't like the low dexterity, but that's the rogue in me going, no, 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 that needs to be higher. What do you think, folks? Does that work for y'all? Oh, that 5 was just ouch. I think we can work with that. So now we'll go back to class so we can check our spells. Okay, now we get 4 4 prepared spells. That's good. Well, no, intelligence is up there. Intelligence is way up there. Grog's intelligence was 6. So it's more, this wizard's strength is just higher than Grog's intelligence. I guess would be the way to put that. Okay, so I get 4 prepared spells, and that's a bit better. So first, let's take a look at our cantrips. These are the things that, as long as you've got the words and the proper motions with your hands, and whatever materials you need, you can cast these anytime you want, regardless. Which does kind of raise the question of just which cantrips would be the most useful for this particular wizard. No worries. Take all the time you need. We will be here for a bit, so no worries as far as that goes. Um, we do appreciate you stopping in regardless, but definitely glad to be able to to help you make a character today for the upcoming one shot later on. Let's see, what are we gonna give this guy? Personally, Mage Hand comes to mind because that lets you do all kinds of things. Mage Hand? Mage Hand, Message. Okay, Mage Hand I can go with. Message. Yeah, that's the one that Arissa keeps using. That can be interesting. Well, during our actual D&D games, our first game of the most recent campaign, one of the characters decided they were going to use message to send a magical message to a bandit and convince him to uh, fight for the loot that's on the cart, and ended up persuading the person into attacking his friends. I mean, part of me wants to go Firebolt. Mold Earth can be interesting. Yeah, that I kind of see that coming. Actually, I kind of see that coming with several of the characters currently, to be entirely fair. Let's see, we've got this one I've seen used to knock people prone, which is kind of interesting. But part of me wants to go fire. I think I'm going to go fire for this one, only because, well, Harry Dresden, to be entirely honest. Now we'll go to our first level spells. We get 4 of these. So if I have 4, yikes. As an NPC, I'm not sure yet. It depends on where I need them placed. Currently, let's see, where would I need a wizard? Actually, yeah, he would need to be rather high level. So we'll fix that too. I don't want to put him midway. 7 kind of fits with it. And I even have a location for this particular character. So I'm going to need to roll 6 more d6 for his HP. That's 4. There's my dice bag. Thank you for asking that question. That actually does make a difference in how the character gets put together. Knowing the level does alter abilities and such. Okay, so that's a 5, 10, 15, 20, which means the total rolled was 26. There's that. Okay, so I get another cantrip. Uh, well, we already rolled that part, but we'll need more rolls later on.
Meanie.
Well, if you grab a chair or something, you could always just sit there.
I'm kind of getting irritated with babysitting everybody on Facebook today, so.
I understand that.
Apparently, it's my job to be counselor for everyone.
I can understand that. Okay, so what we need is one more cantrip. Out of the cantrips, I kind of prefer. Okay, I gotta think of where this person is. This person is going to be in the city of Firefall.
I don't think we've been there.
You haven't. And because it's a wizard of this high a power in Firefall, that means they're not a good person.
Oh, okay. So maybe something like shock and grasp.
Yeah, that definitely fits. Showing up, acting all friendly. Hi, how you doing? They go to do shake your hand and zap you until you can be.
Yeah, that'd be enough of
Yeah, that fits. Um, the Queen of Firefall has a certain amount of magical power and
Catapult would be hilarious.
is that could be interesting. Catapult.
Oh no. Ouch. So,
That
so you could like pick up a cat and chuck it? That'd be horrible.
yup. But imagine if it's like Frumpkin.
No.
No, well, Frumpkin being a Fae, that means
I
that
understand that,
he
but
doesn't
still.
actually die, and as such, that means. Can you imagine Caleb just launching Frumpkin at somebody using catapult?
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, it would. Especially as like
Especially if he changes
as the
it. Yeah,
octopus.
right. That's what I was just thinking too.
That'd be hilarious. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with that.
Catapult.
Yep,
Hey, that's more.
I'm going with that. Yeah. Okay, so that's two out of
How many? 10?
10 known.
Oh lord. Charm person is always a good one.
Uh,
I'm only saying that because it worked so well for Ariana this last week.
True. However, let's see.
What's Unseen Servant do?
He needs to protect himself. It can't do any kind of attack or whatever. It just creates a invisible force that does your bidding for 1 hour.
Oh man, if it could fold my clothes even for a day, I'd be content.
True. But that's what you have uh oh, what is that? Thaumaturgy for.
Uh,
Things like that.
Earth Tremor might be a good one.
Okay, I need shield and I need mage armor because
Okay.
safety. Um okay, we're down. We've got 6 more, right? 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if they're a bad person, don't you think Disguise Self may help?
Yeah, that's one I tend to go with regardless. Um 2 3
Protection from evil and good. That way they can keep casting even though there may, you know what I mean?
all that does is give protection against.
So when you're chucking your cat, you can save it.
But it's not an actual cat. You realize that, right?
Right. I know.
So that when the familiar dies, it doesn't actually die. It just goes poof back to wherever it originally came from, so it can be resummoned.
Okay, so how about Thunderwave?
Thunderwave could work. Hang on 1 second. We're at 7. We need 3 more. And knowing this kind of person, that almost got everybody killed last game.
Uh-huh. That's when you want to nope the F out.
Absolutely. That.
One more.
Magic missile.
Did you read what Bay said?
Oh yeah, I haven't even checked that yet. Okay, back to class features.
He's so excited. Thanks for reminding him. Do not get into necromancy. I do not want to keep raising
No,
my
that's
children.
this this kind of character would evocation.
Oh, sheep.
Yeah.
Oh, sheep.
Yay.
Oh, no.
I like that. Thanks, Bay. I'm glad I looked that up. Let's see.
Ability score improvement, so you can raise that 5.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. That was strength.
Yes.
Let's up that on both. That'll help.
I appreciate it, Faye, and so does he.
Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time.
So what'd that go up to?
It's gonna be that ends up making it a 7 because that gets added to that. See,
Okay.
ability improvements. So that makes it a 9.
He's not much stronger, but he's a little bit.
It's not as bad as it was.
Right. You just
So
had to
that's not
just
bad.
had to say something about my dice.
Hmm. This is where. Okay, this is going to be somebody. Oh, this one right here is a background that we came up with. Partly because of the fact that if you really think about it, Luke Skywalker was a farmer. He wasn't. Uh, oh, what's the term? He wasn't a folk hero because he hadn't done anything yet. He was just a farmer. Moisture farmer, yes, but that's a desert planet, so. But still, he's just a farmer. Look at Willow. Willow's just a farmer. Uh, and yet both of those characters both went on to become major characters in those stories. So we figured it kind of makes sense to have something like Farmer as something regular, Bounty Hunter, which is a little different from the other versions, that was created by someone who works with us on occasion. Um, let's see. That's one of mine. Yeah, Urban Bounty Hunter was the one I was trying
Make
to
him
think
an
of.
urchin. That just sounds so cool. No, not a vigilante. Yes, that. Click it.
That just means that he grew up as an orphan and now he's a wizard.
Okay. He don't got nobody to rely on but himself.
Sleight of hand, stealth, disguise kit,
You're
thieves'
welcome.
tools. Yeah, that does kind of fit that character. Okay.
Number 7 is my child.
That one and that one is definitely this character.
Okay.
Someone who asks a lot of questions but doesn't really trust anybody.
That's me.
Uh, I help the people who help me. Yeah, that's this person. Oh yeah, one ideal. 2 personality traits, 1 ideal, 1 bond. So yeah, that does still fit. Most likely the first one.
Yay! Come do my dishes.
Welcome back. Uh,
I don't know. I like that last one a little bit, but I get it.
this is somebody who,
Okay.
well, it's also kind of their avocation. In order to survive in Firefall as any kind of spellcaster, you have to either swear fealty to the queen and her ideals, or she kills you.
Number
So,
3.
yeah. Although,
Don't. It's number 3.
yeah, 3 definitely fits this character a lot better. Um, okay, let's see. Ah, I hate when I sit there and I end up. Oh, that's Grayskull right there. Trying to catch up on everything when I'm trying to get something done. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I checked our Discord. It's kind of hard to be on multiple screens at once and keep an eye on all these things. So, after all, we will be working with one of our patrons today to make a character for them for an upcoming one shot. This one,
Chaotic neutral.
Lawful Evil, fits the best.
Okay.
Well, he follows the Queen's law to the letter.
Alright.
But that means, because of that, he has no problem with killing certain people or doing certain things to people because it's what the Queen wishes. This.
He's a pastafarian.
Whoops. There's 2 U's there.
Guess you could say I'm pro farming. Because I found a project. Okay, I'm done. That was terrible.
Balance through.
Experience.
No. Musara believes in balance through corruption.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know of another way to put that.
Okay.
Kind of like if you think of a swamp, the only way that things live and survive is by other things rotting and falling apart. So that particular goddess believes in balance through corruption.
I would say they've made it enough to where they're comfortable.
They're definitely comfortable. The Queen won't let them get any higher than that because of worry that they'll overthrow her.
Green.
Green?
Yes.
For a half orc?
Yes.
How about like a dark green?
Well, he can disguise himself to whatever.
That would be a paler green.
Yep. Black.
Black?
Uh-huh.
Height.
Taller than me.
That doesn't help.
Half orc, how big do they get?
They tend to be a little taller and bulkier than humans, I think.
Okay, then 7'3".
That might be
Adam
a bit tall, but okay. I have no way of knowing how to judge that. I'm bad at that game.
315. 29.
29.
Mm-hmm.
This one's male. Just because that's how that particular thing would work in that town. Especially because the Queen enjoys being able to lord her power over males. Just the way she is.
She's sexist. She's a reversed feminist.
This stuff will all be worked out later. Okay, so that covers that.
You didn't name him.
I'll figure out a name as we go. I need to figure out exactly what the naming conventions of Firefall would be, and it doesn't help that he's also a half orc, because ooh, that does put an interesting new twist, especially as to why he'd be so untrusting of folks.
Dagger.
Dagger, dagger, dagger.
Arcane focus. Trust me. Stab. Stuff. Yes. Explorer's
Yeah, he'd have to, because as a half orc, that means he comes from
back. Mm-hmm.
south of Duskmount originally. Firefall is almost strictly a human kingdom.
A pet mouse. Oh boy.
And just because it's also one of the kinds of things that I do.
Oh, so we can name him Bob?
Pretty much.
Cool.
You can't name a planet Bob.
Watch me.
Who made you King of Bob? Just because I do that for all my characters, it gives them the better. Uh, well, yeah, as an urchin, that would mean that I'm surprised someone picked up on the whole Titan AE thing. Uh,
I named this planet Bob.
you can't name it Bob.
Have you a flag?
Oh, are you the king of Bob? Bob, Earth 2.
Bob, and don't spell it backwards. Is he from Boston? We're killing Bay.
Bob
Bob.
Bostonian.
Oh, Lord.
Sure, why not? It works. And it's just weird enough so that it kind of still fits the world, you know? So this is Bob the Boston or Bob Bostonian, our half orc urchin wizard. That actually isn't all that bad, really. Okay, let's equip our stuff here.
Oh.
Nice one. What was I doing? Oh yeah, equipment. That's oh yeah, no armor. Okay, I guess he really doesn't need a whole lot in terms of weapons then, does he? Yeah, he's got the staff for the arcane focus. Uh oh.
P. Just because it's the next letter.
Well, I was just thinking. Now I have to work on a magic item like Dresden's Duster,
Hmm.
because Harry Dresden has that duster that has protection from just about anything because of the enchantments on it.
Hmm.
I mean, you still feel like kinetic energy hit you, so getting shot, you'd still feel it, but it's protected against anything getting through it, I guess. Teeth, blades, any of that kind of thing. So yeah, that gives us one of our NPCs here. Um, that that was actually kind of cool. So what we'll do is we'll jump back here, jump back here. I mean, we've been running for 45 minutes and got one character done, so that's not bad. We've got plenty of time to be able to take care of a few more. For folks who are fans of Critical Role, we will be hosting them later on, although we have no problem with you going over to their channel because they're the ones who are doing all the work. Um, but I do know that chat over there can get very crazy during uh, a live run, especially when you've got 50,000 plus. So if folks would rather chill with us and chat that way, that works too.
This one can be
Um,
your tabaxi.
well, like I said, I have a couple of tabaxi
Oh, do you
already. mean,
Stop.
just 1 second. Switch over here for just a moment. That was the one from Nick's campaign.
Mm.
That's the one from. Oh, what was that? The CageCon thing.
Mm.
That
Carl.
he's currently stuck in the middle of Groundhog Day along with an entire other party. These two are brothers. They're both Tabaxi. This is my current character who, honestly, I've tried to get him killed twice now, and nope.
Nope.
Just so that I could switch to his brother, and haven't been able to get there yet. This one was made for no reason in particular. I do have to finish fixing this one. I don't know why that's there.
Because that's the one you just, like, opened.
Oh, whoops. I'll fix it. We'll get there. Some of these you'll notice are in campaigns, and honestly, it's mostly to disguise what NPCs the characters actually run into.
Like, I'm going to remember any of these names.
Well, Warnos y'all should
Yeah, I
remember.
know who Warnos is. He's a dick.
Well, okay, yeah, he hired a bunch of bandits in order to rip off his own town, in order to find something, in order to try and save his daughter. So in that respect,
Eh, still a douche.
and when the hags nearly killed him, they've still gone out of their way to keep him alive. So that was kind of funny. So let's see, what race should we go for here? Keep in mind that there are sub-races and variants. Depending on which type we go with. Elves, of course, have plenty of extras. And I have to go through here and actually fix the elf races for my world because there are some. Generally, nearly all of these races should be technically available. As far as where the character might be from, that would take some work figuring out. For example, things that would be considered the darker races. I don't like to go with the term evil because that
It's relative.
automatically, yeah, all that automatically sends the brain in certain directions. And instead, I try to think of like darker races, the orcs, those who you would find in like the Underdark, or uh, the kinds of creatures that come out of the darkness in our fears would be the darker races in my as far as that goes. And because of that, things like kobolds or orcs or even half orcs would actually come from south of the equator or very, very close to the equator. Because this planet is tilted to the point where the northern half gets most of the sunlight. And the further south you go, the darker and the colder things get. So those races that are used to the darker, more harsh environments have a tendency to have drifted that direction before Alarad, the main god.
Shapeshifter.
Huh? What was that?
Can you become a shapeshifter? Do you have that?
Not as a race. That tends to be more of a class thing, I think. I mean, all of these are available. It's just trying to figure out where they would pop up. Tieflings have their own nation. It's an island nation.
I know that's where Oriana's from.
Yep. A place called Zavalom. Uh, Spelled like that because if you look at it backwards, Yellow Kenku, Bard, Yellow Canary, criminal background.
I like it.
I can work with that. I like that. We'll go with that. They reach maturity at 12. They're adults at 12
Oof.
and live to 60. Ouch. 5 feet, 90 to 100 pounds, or 120 pounds. What kind of bard?
A funny one.
That doesn't help. Because I figured they would be an upper level. Oh yeah, there was one. I'm gonna go with acrobatics on that. Cause parkour.
Sleight of hand.
Okay, so we've got Kenku. Yeah. Kenku Bard.
What level?
Hmm. That's kind of where I'm getting a little stuck. Level 12. Okay, level 12. Jesus.
Have fun.
6 proficiencies, and that's just at first level.
Bagpipes, cause Irish.
Flute.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I'm sorry. For those who've been following along with our Skyrim streams, that'll be kind of self-explanatory. We already have acrobatics dealt with. Survival's always a plus. Stealth and deception.
Wouldn't history be better that way? Let me tell you a story of what happened here.
Remember, Kenku can only imitate something they've heard or seen before.
I know, but they would want to like act like they know what they're saying. You know what I mean?
True, but that's what the deception would be for.
Okay.
So that people think that they do know what they're saying, even if they don't. I only have 2 opened up on here. I'm going to go with lore because that just...
Sounds cooler.
Scanlan. Scanlan short halt, to be entirely honest. And 3 more proficiencies. Okay. History.
Mm-hmm.
Arcana.
Intimidation. Or medicine.
Performance.
There you
Because
go.
Bard. That should have been obvious, I know. I apologize on that. 2 expertise.
Performance.
Performance and acrobatics.
I can juggle 7 violins while I'm playing them.
Ability or feat.
We haven't rolled for stats yet, so come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Well, because we get it 3 times.
Good night, nurse.
Additional magical secrets. Ooh. Just pick a spell.
Thunderous Smite just sounds really cool.
Steal it from a... Thunderous Smite, it would be a spell that would have been learned from a paladin at some point.
Okay.
W- We get 2 of these, so I'm trying to double check to make sure.
Spiritual weapon and that other one.
Spiritual weapon, and
Uh-huh.
kind of like that. I do. What was the other one?
Go down. Keep going.
Blinding smite,
No.
branding smite,
No. Keep going. Nope.
continual flame.
Ugh. That does not sound fun. Nope.
Darkness could be helpful.
Eldritch Blast.
Okay, I'm really liking bards all of a sudden. Tasha's hideous. Yeah. I,
Okay,
I
we'll go with that.
Tasha's.
Yeah,
Okay.
go down.
Leomund's.
Not Liam. Calm down.
Wow. All the spells that you can actually steal from folks is just nuts. For the record, I have issues with Tasha's hideous laughter.
You're only mad because you got stuck.
I got hit by it, followed by bestow curse, and could not get rid of
Boo-hoo.
the laughter for the rest of the battle royale. It was horrible.
Arcana.
Arcana
Stealth.
and stealth.
Uh-huh.
Stealth is not. Oh,
You already
there's
picked
Arcana.
stealth. Calm down.
2 more
Oh
spells.
Lord, you can pick them. Eldritch Blast because
Dimension Door.
Eldritch Blast because
You mean Ford?
yeah, my bad.
Bigby's hand. I kind of want to go with that one.
Alright, then go.
Because, well, Scanlan. We'll come back to the ability scores. I mean, part of me wants to go feet, but let's see what our scores end up as first. Manual.
Here we go again.
Let's get our notepad here.
I'm putting these 2 right here.
Okay. And, oh, there's a pencil, so.
Six.
Yikes.
Off to a good start. 10. 10.
Yikes. 6, 10, 10.
15.
15.
17.
17. One more.
14.
And 14. Okay.
I gotta go for now because it's too hot here for me.
I understand.
Hi, everybody.
We're going to hit the charisma for 17 because Bard. I'm going to put the 15 in Constitution for hit points. Let's see. I want a 14 on this. No. Wait. Actually, yeah, I kind of do want the dexterity up there for the sleight of hand and all of that. So, yeah, I'll leave that where it is. What's the next bonus? Wisdom. So they're smart, but they're not all that street smart. As opposed to, like, Scanlan. I can work with that. Granted, additional stuff will end up going into, whoops, criminal spy, investigation, and for some weird reason, oh, I am hoping that it is just that. I'm still on, right, folks? Did we didn't get dropped or anything, right? I hope not. No, I don't need intimidation. Medicine is what I meant. I tend to think of characters as like needing to, or I try to build characters based on the concept of what if the party doesn't show up and this character is forced to do something on their own. So I have a tendency to kind of maximize that, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Let's see. Okay, apparently one of my computers has decided to completely act up. Yeah, that seems like this kind of person. And they won't pay attention to the odds. We're golden gods. Okay. We are still on though, correct? At least I hope so. 'Cause that would suck. Okay. 1 second. That's a little better. Okay. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Always good to know. Um that one kind of fits the idea that came from what we've done so far is that whole uh especially for one who with a name like the Yellow Canary would want freedom, that kind of thing. Uh let's see. I kind of like that one for it. Okay, hopefully this will fix things. Um, I'm gonna go with that. That at least has something that I can build from as far as backstory and that kind of thing. Um, it's usually how I tend to look at things. What can I do to make this character make sense to me? That kind of thing. Being a lighter character, physically, I figured the finesse weapon would be a better idea than the longsword. We're going to go with the Entertainer's Pack. I'm going to go with the flute. Um, just to mention it, there is something called a Best Bev. It's a Mandalorian item, um, and it is a combat flute, which is an actual flute that has been sharpened on one end for the express purpose of being able to use it in combat. We'll just throw these on here. This will be our next character here. Wait, what? Because on the other page, I'd gone through and I deleted it. That was my fault. I mean, we could do that again, I guess. But we do want to be able to help Andres, aka Alex, make their character for the upcoming one shot. Um, if they're ready. If not, then we can try and rebuild that one or work on a new one. Either way, um, what would folks rather we do here? Uh, I'm a little annoyed that was a wonderful character and it ended up falling apart, and I don't think I fixed everything on it either. Yeah, because we had the. I really messed up that character, didn't I? It's okay. We still have the numbers. I can throw this back together real quick. 1 second, folks. That's what I get for messing things up. That was acrobatics and sleight of hand. That was Bard. Level 12. Drum, flute, lute. Because Skyrim. I completely forgot what these were. I know performance was one of them. Deception was one of them. Survival, nature, and medicine. If I messed any of that up, I do apologize. Having all of that kind of fall apart on me was annoying. I know one of those was Tasha's. Can't remember what else I'd grabbed. Dag nabbit. Spiritual weapon was one of them. That was wisdom. Wisdom. Expertise. Sleight of hand. Stealth. Especially because they are a little secretive. Strength. Strength. After we put the numbers back in, I'll go ahead. Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you. So that would have been. Where's the other? Oh, for this one. Thank you. Big B's hand. Big B. And Dimension Door. Mostly because the Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion isn't up there yet. We'll come back to this one after we get the other numbers put back in. 12d8. So I actually need 10d8 or 11d8 because one of them is going to be an 8 no matter what. I don't know if I have 11 d8s, but we'll find out, won't we? There's 2. No, that's a d10. There's a d8. That's 3. One thing I've learned as a DM, you can never have enough dice. Just ask Laura Bailey. Let's see. Aw. Carl, you didn't put any of the sounds on for this, this setting. Apparently we don't have the harp. At least not with the current setting the way it is. But that's what happens when you have multiple scenes, and it's just one of those streaming things. Okay, so that is not a D8 over there. That just fell on my floor. But that is. So, I'll take a look at what we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 out of 11, so we'll just have to roll a couple of them more than once. So, here we go. There's 10. That's 20. 31. I better write that down. My memory's not the best, so. Okay, so that's 31 out of 7 dice. 16, 21, 25 plus 8 is 33. Means I rolled a 64 total. Which will then be fixed once we get the other numbers and everything back in here. Charisma was a 17. That was a 6. That was a 15. 14. 10. 10? No. That had been a 6. That had been a 10. Right? I think? That's not too bad. I mean, we could up the wisdom to 11. And actually, if I add 1 to charisma and 1 to dexterity, I've got 18s on both of those. That would probably be the better idea, wouldn't it? What do you folks think? And now I'm getting messages. Sorry, folks. My oldest just messaged me on Facebook, so I need just a moment. Okay. And mostly because, well, my kids come first. Nothing against you guys. Nothing against you folks, but uh, I mean, I gotta keep my kids first, right? Okay, so yeah, we'll go back one and we'll get that last thing set for charisma and dexterity. Yeah, that's not bad at all. That was criminal. Huh. Uh, insight and investigation, maybe? That was a card set. Uh, those two. That one. Kind of jumping back and forth to get this finished real quick. No, it was that one, I think. And that one. Okay, I tend to go chaotic neutral for most things. This one, I don't know where to put the faith for that one just yet. Naruto. Who is God of Tricks. Whoops. This particular trickster god is a little unusual. They're used to modest living, but they could always go for better. Not sure on those yet. We'll get to those. Starting equipment. Rapier, entertainer, flute. There. Oh yeah, gold. That should save it. That, oh, I hate when things like that happen. When you're doing something and next thing you know, you've accidentally, like, jumped somewhere you shouldn't have. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, the name. Thank you. It was the yellow canary. So total HP actually comes out to be 88 then. Or just the canary. I kind of like adding the yellow canary, but then have it be like black feathers. Just because the obvious thing would be people would be looking for somebody who was actually yellow, and it turns out, no, 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 no. They just have a tendency to either to cause trouble and then run away from it. Which kind of puts a whole new element into the character, if that comes across properly. So yeah, I do kind of like that. Uh, AC 15, initiative +6. Wow. Kind of wondering how Matt would play this character. Look at the save throws on that. +8, +8. That's kind of scary. Wow. Okay, so that one's that one. Let's see. We can work on the next one, or if Andres, aka Alex, is ready, we could always work on that one. Otherwise, if folks would be willing to give me a short break, say about 5 minutes, to get a refill on my coffee, the usual in between stuff that needs doing on occasion. Um, is that okay with everybody, or would something else work a little better? Um, Also, Andres, if things end up coming up where if you're unable to join us for it, we can always do things specifically directly through Discord later on. I just wanted to make sure that we were able to be on stream as much as possible, in case folks wanted to see what kind of character you came up with. But one way or the other, I will definitely uh, be more than happy to help create a character, as well as, I mean, we could even record it just for airing later if necessary, as part of a break, or as part of the one shot toward the end. Um, but yeah, at the moment, I'm going to take a very short break. I do hope folks will stick around with us. Feel free to grab something to drink, run to the bathroom, grab something to eat, whatever works. And we'll be back in 5 or less, preferably less. I will certainly do my best to make sure it's as quick as possible. So, in the meantime, thank you for joining us thus far, and we will be back in roughly 5 minutes. We do hope you folks will stick with us through that, and we're here until at least 8:45 Central Time, as Critical Role starts at 9 our time. And since we're going to be over there, since we're going to be watching it anyway, folks are more than welcome to join us here for chat for it. Entirely up to you. But until then, we'll be back in just a few, and I do hope everyone's having a decent day. Um, we'll be back in a few. They've walked you through Horizon Zero Dawn, through The Last of Us, and through For Honor. This summer, one man, one horde, One motorcycle. Many, many locations with an open world map. And one very large arsenal. When the dust settles at the end of the day, who will remain standing? Will it be Deacon St. John? Or those he stands against? Find out for yourself at twitch.tv/wildwolfgaming1. Stay wild, everyone. In the video game streaming system, the viewers are represented by two distinct groups: the gamers who provide walkthroughs and compete for wins, and the entertainers who provide nonsense and fun. These are the games of the Insomnia Squad. Doink Doink by Mike Post. Come to twitch.tv/awolvesdengames and click the follow button. That way you will be notified for further games by the Insomnia Squad. Howdy folks, we're back. Miss Adika isn't feeling very well at the moment, so I'm hoping that we can kind of keep things moving along without too much trouble, but I'm going to be kind of keeping an ear out in case she needs anything. Especially as currently there is nobody else home. So kind of forces things in a particular manner. Okay, so is our patron available? to build, or are we still working? Looks like we're currently still working on just general NPCs, which I'm okay with because that just means I get to mess around with more stuff I haven't looked at yet. So, let's see. Let's go with another race here. Why do I not have Warforged on here? Could have sworn I'd... Huh. Well, I guess that's one we'll have to look for later. Ooh. Just because I'm curious on how well I can do this. Those work for me, to start at least. Gonna go monk. Mostly because of this. Musical instrument or artisan's tools. I'm gonna go with Tinker's tools, just because that could be kind of fun. Hey, let's make something nobody's ever seen before. Of course, on the DM side, that can be a real headache, but that's me. Can anybody guess what I'm building here? Put that right in the middle. What do we have for feats here? Experienced. I love that. That's one of ours. Yep, TMNT. I'm looking to make Donatello. So let's go Keen Mind. That makes sense for Donnie. Let's see. Martial Adept, maybe? Polearm Master. Aha. Quarterstaff. What would you consider a katana? Would that be would that be like a rapier or a scimitar? Actually, I should try thinking more like Donnie. What would Donnie use? Usually he'd be building stuff, so it would probably be something a little fancy. And let's go with the net. If it was Mikey, I'd go with the sickle. But yeah, that'll work for me. Now we'll do some dice rolls. Where'd our D6s go? Did I put them away? I think I did. Ah, okay. Oh, there's 4 D6s. They're not the fancy ones we were using earlier, but a D6 is a D6. Although, if they're properly weighted and all that, I have no idea. While I'm doing that, I need to check. Okay. So, a 6 and 3 ones. So that's an 8. Two 6s and a 2, that's a 14. Ah. Dropped one of my dice in the wrong spot. 5, that's another 8. It'd be funny if it was 8, 14, 8, 14, 8, 14. Hey, dice, I was kidding. I didn't want a third 8. 2 more rolls. 12. Aha, there we go. That's better. 12, that's a 17. Let's see. What is key based on? Let's see. I want the 14 in Constitution, that's for sure. Good point. Good point. Actually, that's really close. I can work with this. Actually, let's go 17, 14. 12, 8, and 8. That sounds about right. Now, this would be... a clan crafter? No, because it's a racial thing. Ah, but I do have martial inventor. That's one of mine. Performance. Because of making stuff. That's a good point. I should probably double check that. Leatherworker and smith. I think I may need to adjust this particular background too. Kind of depends on how things go. Uh, the idea had been for kind of like the guild artisan or guild or clan inventor. What was it? Clan crafter. Kind of like the whole clan crafter concept, only not stuck to the dwarvish race. Let's see. That kind of sounds like Donnie. So does that. Granted, I'm thinking of the Rob Paulson Donatello as opposed to any of the other voices for Donnie. Granted, Donatello started out as, or Rob Paulson started out as Raphael in the original series. That's definitely Donnie. That bottom one would be more Raphael. That one I can understand depending on which. What did that say? It was. Yeah. Neutral good. Okay, key abilities are based on wisdom, so I should probably fix that here in a minute. As far as faith, I'll leave that one blank for now. Used to squalid because turtle. Well, Ninja Turtle specifically. There we go. Yeah, we'll swap intelligence and wisdom. There we go. Thank you for checking on that for me. Much appreciated. I'll go with the staff. Oh yeah, I gotta check my list on the gadgets there. I'll need to go through and definitely fix this one. Leatherworker's tools would be lighter than the smith's tools, or should be. And again, the whole gold thing, which is my own personal bit for starting characters out. So how does Donnie look then? I need to fix the HP, I think. But that looks pretty good. $10d8. So we've got the d8s again. Usually I have my DM screen that has all my dice set aside for me and separated out by type, but I don't have it in here at the moment. It is one of the things that we are looking to take from prototype to actual product, in the hopes that, well, assuming folks would be interested in something like that for a DM screen. But the concept being, let's get one more. The concept being a DM screen that folds up and looks like a leather-bound tome to sit on your bookshelf. But once you open it up, it holds your dice and holds some minis and notes and maps and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, that's a 10, 19. $37 plus 8, $45. It's about average. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. And then it would just be a matter of adjusting some things around later on for actual putting the stats into a book and figuring out where he's from and that kind of thing. Um, although he'd most likely be from the continent of Pillsbury. So that tells me one thing at least. Generally, in my world, characters that are bestial in appearance um, are a crocra, turtles, um, wear anything, usually would be found on Pillsbury. Things like the Aarakocra, um, the Kenku, lizard folk, tabaxi, turtle, things like that. There's another one that I'm working on with the intention of werewolves have a tendency to have three forms. One which is their human form, one which is their full animal form, and then something right in the middle. But I'm looking to make that whole middle ground thing just be its own thing and have that show up as. Unfortunately, Tabaxi kind of already covers that, and Kenku covers the Kenku and Aarakocra both kind of cover that for birds, and so it's kind of finding the that middle ground for say lupine creatures, people ish, so that you would actually have like a wolf type that doesn't transform from one to the next. It just is as is. Um, although I was also kind of hoping that I might be able to work in the term critter for those, cause well, critical role. Um, so yeah, at this point, it's more of a what's the next one to start work on. Um, any ideas, folks, or uh, particular concepts you'd like to see how it would look in final form? Any of those, I'm more than happy to do. This is one we're working on. This is definitely ours. We've spoken to some folks about legality issues and getting that all figured out, but This is a human variant race that we've been working on. Uh, Hence the whole Naruto and mentions of things that only exist in our world currently. Um, I could go with an Arcanite. Depends on what folks want to see. Um, so yeah, I mean, it all depends on where in the world I'm needing to work at the time. If it's south, then it might be something like a kobold. Kobolds tend to be lawful evil for that reason. Again, to me, alignment doesn't make any sense. Mostly due to huh. That might be something that I can actually use as a DM in a game. So yeah, let's see what we can come up with for this one. What's something that would be unexpected? Kobold cleric? I kind of like that. History and insight. That'll fit this one. Trickery fits him so much because being a kobold and all. Uh, yeah, let's up him up a bit. Oh wow. So I've got 82 known, and I can prepare up to 9 of them, and 4 cantrips. Definitely bless. I like that one. I like that one. Wait, those are different. Hang on. I get 4 cantrips, and there aren't many cantrips here. Cool, cool. Take your time, no rush. Uh, I enjoy being able to use D&D Beyond for stuff because uh, they'll sit there and explain everything to you as you go if you need it. And currently, I'm trying to figure out. Let's see, I got 4 cantrips. I want to do. I don't want to do light because they're kobold, and that doesn't make sense for a kobold. Thaumaturgy, guidance, resistance, sacred flame. I think that would work probably the best for this particular creature. Um, I get 9 more spells. Planar binding. And then it follows you for a day. Huh. Mass cure wounds. Greater restoration. Polymorph is always? Wow. Banishment. Sending. Thank you, Laura. Mass healing word. What am I at now? I need 4 more. Bless. Guiding bolt. Find traps. 1 more, right? 1 more. 1 more. Yeah, I've been trying to make sure that I spread them around. Bestow curse. Yeah. Yeah, that one has been used against me, and yeah. That plus Tasha. Oh, it's on fixed HP. I didn't change that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. We'll go here for our manual dice rolls. There we go. I may be a little more back and forth tonight than intended, but only because I want to make sure that I keep checking on Miss Adika every now and again, since she hasn't been feeling well. Okay, that's a 16. Watch me get really, really high rolls for a kobold. Or not. That's an 8. Let's see. Whoops. Remove that. That is a 16. We're not doing this again, are we? Well, at least it's better than 8, 14, 8. That's a 9. Better than an 8, though. Better than the 5 on the first NPC. 14. One more roll here. I do apologize for the more boring bits of creating a character, but it happens. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So, I think I'll use a 13 there. The 9. Let's put the 9 there. No. Let's put the 8 there. Let's put the 9 there. 13. No, that would have to be a 14. 16 and 16. Unusual, yes, but it's a kobold cleric, so that's kind of weird in and of itself, isn't it? Yeah. Uh, yeah, I probably should swap the 16 and the 14, huh? Whoops. That's a little better. Wait, that should be the 14. That should be the 16. Because dexterity gets the plus 2, so that way it's 16, 16, 16. Yeah. That's a bit better. But yeah, again, it's all kind of up to uh, there we go. Okran Argand. And he'll be an acolyte. I'm going to put that on performance. That'll work for that. He believes in yeah, that that's perfect. Wow. It's weird being on a TV. Granted, I'm kind of on my own TV over here, which I still can't get used to. Yeah, this guy's used to Squalid. Uh, that's about right. We'll go with that one too. Tradition. Yep, that'll fit. Hmm. That one seems to fit a little better. And that one. That'll work. That'll work. Hmm. An amulet. That seems to fit Nim, is it? A little better? Give him 2 amulets. That that kind of fits the concept that I have in mind. He's basically a cultist, sort of. Problem is, kobolds like to make stuff. Niv Mizzet likes to make stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of the experiments Niv Mizzet tends to do have a propensity for exploding, so that isn't always best for the people nearby. Let's throw this on so we have all of our information properly. AC of 18. That's not that bad. I mean, admittedly, it's not Spurt, who got hit with a... Spurt lasted a whole 11 days. Or in-game, 5 minutes. I just want to fix one thing. Back on the front page. And that one thing being the whole... I'd rather go manual. Yeah, my world... Well, the lore regarding Niv Mizzet is based on... 98. So I can just... Is it 24? $44 plus an 8, 52. Could have ended up less, but that's fine. Which page? Oh. Oh, yeah. Mostly because I kind of want him a little smarter. And a little stronger. That should work. Now let's take a look. Oh, that's much better. Though I guess I probably could have dropped that into charisma. It's a kobold. That'll work just fine. Cool. So that's another NPC we've built here today. Um, we can get started on the other one here with yeah, probably. Let's go ahead and fix that. The whole single negative stat is kind of bugging me. Whoops. No, that'd be under class. Set of strength. Charisma. Down on what? Down on both? Okay. Let's try that one. How's that look? Is that looking better? Yeah, that's much better. Thank you, Bay. Much appreciated. That'll fit this character nicely. I even know where he belongs. So we can go ahead and start working on the character for you, Andres, here in just a couple of minutes, if you'd like. Either that or we can always work something out on trying to get things together for that. Um, Either way, I'm more than happy to work with you, however you want to do this, in order to get this character made for you. In the meantime, I'm gonna take another quick, very short break to check on Miss Adika, make sure she's doing all right. I know she hasn't been feeling well, and well, when you get a group of people in a small area, illnesses have a tendency to kind of get spread around a bit. So I'm kind of hoping if we can get her feeling better faster, then hopefully it won't end up transferring to anybody else. Um, so yeah, give me a couple of minutes and I shall be right back. I promise. Uh, will do, and I'm sure that we all hope that she feels better as quickly as possible. Um, So yeah, I will be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll get back. We'll jump into either the next character, or we'll go ahead and start working on that one for you, Andres. And we'll see you. We'll see you all in just a minute or two. Um, won't be long, I promise. They've walked you through Horizon. Okay, folks, we're back here. Whoops. I actually got to click on that. I don't have that set as a hotkey. Uh, Welcome back. Sadika's rather tired and her stomach's a little whoopsie, so I'm gonna try and keep ahead of things here as well as. Uh, hmm. I don't know if we have Psionic open currently. That's under playtest, right? We can open that up. I can work with that. I figure manual, although it isn't really going to matter with it being these characters will, well, we'll start them out as uh, level 1 characters for playtesting as the adventure that we're writing, and hopefully we'll have the adventure ready by Christmas. Um, but the adventure we're writing is intended for lower level characters, so we'll start with something relatively simple. Is there a particular name that you had in mind for your character here? Um, if not, I mean, we can always come back to it. We end up coming to it under description. So if you don't have a name offhand, we can always come back to that. Um, we'll worry about a name later then. You were thinking dwarf, probably? That gives us 4 versions. Uh, you've got the gray dwarf, the hill dwarf, the mark of warding dwarf, and the mountain dwarf. And I'm not even sure what this is. I'm going to assume Eberron? I think. Dwarves have a tendency to have very specific types of names, but I don't always. We can go with this. Uh, we have had we do have a Warforged currently in uh, one of our campaigns. Let's see. Would you prefer brewer's supplies, mason's tools, or smith's tools? Currently, those are the only options they're giving us for this, but this is, again, a racial feature rather than um, something to go along with combat and that kind of thing. Um, Generally, smith's tools would be for repairing armor and that kind of thing. Smith tools? Okay. Masons would be architecture, and brewers, of course, would be making wine and beer and all that kind of thing. See, we have the artificer. I do not see anything under Psylocke or psionics, though. I know there are plenty of other games out there that utilize a psionic system, but I don't currently know those systems. Um, but these are the classes that are available currently, any one of which can be very good. It all depends on how you play it and how well you learn what the character's abilities are. Um, Admittedly, this is the one I know best because, well, Rogue's got a rogue. Assuming that even shows up properly. It might for some. But yeah, uh, any one of these classes is open. What kind of thing might you be looking for? Um, if you're looking for a spellcaster, it would generally be these 3 here, but rangers cast spells, paladins cast spells, druids, clerics, bards. Um, Depends. Are you looking to be uh, to rely heavily on spellcasting, on martial kind of things, or kind of a mix of both? Any one of those kind of helps cover itself. Admittedly, at early levels, there are no spells available for rogue or ranger, I don't think. Oh, you do get. Oh, by the time you reach 2nd level. Okay. So, yeah. If you're looking for spells right off, then you'd be looking at either bard, cleric, druid, paladin, or these 3 here. Huh. Interesting how there are actually so few martial classes. monk or a wizard? Okay, monks would be more the from the design they have set up here is more of the martial artist style monk. Um, I mean, Bo has shown that uh, her particular monk can do some serious stuff. Um, Admittedly, we're all mostly at the first level stuff for this, but um, however, if you prefer more casting ability and spells, the difference, another difference, of course, is the hit dice, because this is 1d6, while the monk is a 1d8. Um, so it all really depends on what kind of thing you're looking for. The wine kit? Oh, yeah, we can back up one. We'll drop there. Brewer supplies. There you go. And so I guess at the moment the question would be, would you prefer monk or wizard? Because also keep in mind, we can always go through and make you a couple of them as we go. So uh, we don't necessarily have to hold to just one thing. And since we're making it on my account rather than yours, that leaves you 6 slots to make your own characters with, should you want to. We'll go with monk. Got it. So, I would assume you would want the brewer's tool. Wait, there's no brewer's tools? Then I assume you would already have it. Huh. Do you still want the smith's tools? I mean, we can give them an instrument or any one of these tool kits. Mostly depends on what kind of thing your character might want to do during downtime, things like that. Um, I mean, I assume with the brewer's tools that one of the main things they're going to be doing when they're not out adventuring is brewing beer and wine and that kind of thing. Um, but that doesn't mean that they're limited to just that. We've got musical instruments, we've got tool kits. Potter's tools would be more the kind of thing for making clay pots and that kind of thing. Understanding the techniques to be able to make your own ceramic ware, I guess. Um, Thanks to Bob Ross, I'm kind of a little more toward painter's supplies nowadays. But that's me. Um, Anything from wood carving to jeweler's tools, glass blowers tools. But there's also your basic musical instruments as well. Glass blower kit. That could be cool. And it's another way for your character to make a little extra money on the side. Um, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can choose 2 skills out of these 6 because you'll notice it just gives you the same list twice. So acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, or stealth. What would you prefer? Um, Having been a tracer, I tend to go acrobatics because parkour, but oh, that works too. Those two together should work very nicely. Oh, whoops, we didn't set the HP. I'm going to go ahead and give you the max on this because on first roll, I always give everybody max on the first die. Okay, here we go. Now, would you prefer to roll or go through like standard array or point buy? Personally, I prefer to roll because, well, I just like messing with clackety math rocks. But I mean, we've got plenty of stuff to be able to do pretty much whatever here. Um, I could roll for you, or if you've got 4 dice, okay, we can roll. Okay, I've got 4 really nice dice here. My fancier dice. Um, Now I can roll or you can roll, however you want to do it. If you wanted to roll, like if you had your own dice, feel free to roll them and just uh, it's 4d6 and you remove the lowest number. Or if I'm rolling, that's a 3, a 4, a 1, and a 1, which is an 8 once you remove the lowest die. But before we say yes or no on that roll at all, are you wanting me to roll for you? Because if so, then we'll just not count that one at all, and we'll just go ahead and roll it fresh. Um, you can in Discord, preferably in the role playing games channel under tabletop. But you can do it in any of the channels. I'm fine with that. You would just roll uh, exclamation point roll 4d6. I believe that should be up on the Digital Den channel in order to help if that makes it a little easier. The bot will go ahead and roll the dice for you, um, and then just subtract whatever the lowest number turned out to be. Yep, that's the right one. Oh, put a space right after or between roll and the dice. Sorry. Should have been more clear about that. Oh, wow. Chewy just went live. Oh, hang on. That's... There you go. So ignore mine, but... And it didn't put my thing... Okay. So put the space between the word roll and the 4d6. The exclamation point goes right at the beginning of the word roll. So it's that. Whoops. And it still hit it. Starting to get annoyed with you, bot. We'll get it there. And we do have time. I know that Chewy over at the Mana Pool just went live. Okay, almost like that. Exactly the way Bayon had done it. Thank you. Thank you, Bay. Yeah, it took me a while to get used to the whole thing, and I know that technically with that bot, I can roll. There you go. So we subtract the 2 from that because that's the lowest, and that leaves you with a number of 13, which I will write down. We don't have to put that in anywhere just yet. So you'll need to do that 5 more times. So that's a 13 for the first roll. And if you can give us 5 more of those, then I'll write the numbers down and you can go ahead and decide on where you want to put them. And the reason why that first one comes out to be 13 rather than 15 is because you always subtract the lowest number. So the next number is an 11. for anyone else who might be interested. Okay, that's the third one. That is another 13 and 11. Two more. So far, that's been really good. Another 11. And one last one. Okay, that is probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It comes out 13, 11, 13, 11, 11, 13. Not that I really, I mean, that's pretty decent for dice here. So it's all about where you want to put them. Let's see. For a monk, I believe we'd said it was wisdom that the key was based on. So you're going to want a high number there. So I would assume a 13. I mean, technically you got two numbers, so and you've got three of each. So it all depends on where you want to put them. Generally, strength, dexterity, and wisdom I would want to keep rather high. That's me personally. Um, those three, we can do that. Granted, if I put something down and the delay has caused me to mess it up somewhere, let me know, and I'm more than happy to change that. You'll also notice that thanks to racial modifiers and things like that, certain things end up going up in certain places. That puts an 11, and 11, and 11. If that's how you like it, tell me to leave it be. And, I mean, that does look pretty good. That looks really good to me, actually. You like that? We can go with that. Not a problem. Um, Now the big question comes to be, what kind of background do you want? That can get a little rough. Um, each one has their own particular bonuses and that kind of thing. Um, if so, well, then I guess the bot likes you, and I have no problem with that either. Um, but yeah, we've got now, admittedly, like four or five of these are ones that I came up with. At least one of them needs a rewrite for sure. But for the most part, any one of these is open as your character's background. Now, background is basically what did your character do before they started going out on adventures? Uh, are they someone who, for example, uh, was a cop? Or maybe they've been an entertainer for a while and they decided, it's time to leave home and set out on my own. We've got folk heroes and gladiators. Sailor? Okay. We've got sailor, pirate, gladiator, and folk hero. Out of those four, what calls to you best? I guess would be the best way to put that. Your dwarven character, are they someone who is more just the general sailor type? Or maybe they're a pirate? Or perhaps they make their beer or wine or whatever it is because they want to forget battles that they've had as a gladiator. Or maybe they've done something impressive back home. and people back home are proud to know you. But once you're away from home, maybe you're not as well known. That tends to be what the folk hero thing does. That could work. Maybe they became a folk hero on accident. Let's see. Wow, they've removed. So you can have one more set of tools, apparently, because now you've got the glass, the glass blower, and the you've already got the glass blower and the um, brewer's supplies. Anything else you want to add to that? Cook's utensils, tinker's tools. Any one of those are pretty decent. Kind of like the idea of becoming a folk hero on accident, having done something, and everybody's like, "Yay, you saved us!" And it's like, uh, okay, kind of like Jar Jar Binks, sort of. Weaver's tools. That way you can at least make your own clothes if you have to. It's about fitting. Um, I'm reminded personally of, mostly because I've been listening to it the last few days, but I've been listening to the Dragonlance novels, and one of the characters in that is a dwarf by the name of um, Flint Fireforge, who, for his downtime, would use wood carving tools and just carve wood out and that kind of thing. So it all depends on what fits the character the best. Um, as far as personality traits, you can choose two of these. Personally, I would probably get more use out of Weaver's tools than Potter's tools, because a weaver who knows what they're doing well enough could easily weave a basket strong enough and with a tight enough weave that you could carry water, which essentially is what the potter's tools would kind of be for, making stuff to hold water or food or that kind of thing, but being limited to strictly clay work. Um, that's me personally. I mean, it's more along the lines of which one of the two appeals to you the most. Um, Weaver's tools mean more than just pottery and ceramics, but pottery and ceramics are not just used for utensils, but that makes sense too. Especially if you were to make like with your weaver's tools and your glass blower's tools, you could be making Chianti bottles to sell to restaurants or something. Um, Generally, because the Chianti bottle has that woven basket bit at the bottom of the bottle. Uh, just a thought. As far as personality traits, which of these kind of seems to fit your dwarven character the easiest? Um, Whether it's the getting bored with destiny, or I mean, all of these, I can find a way to make any one of these work for my character, but that's me. And admittedly, uh, being new to the game, I tend to pick things that seem to that I can understand the best. But I guess it all depends on where your comfort level is. How far are you willing to take your character? Um, yeah, I I I can completely understand this one here, number 7. Um, So what do you want to go with? You want to go with 3 and 1, or 3 and 7, or 1 and 7, or I mean, what do you want to go with here? You can pick two for the first one. Uh, I mean, in theory, you can. Okay, you can pick one more. Take your time. There's no rush. Because I want to make sure that this character is something that you are comfortable with and proud of. That works. Now we need one from the ideals, one from the bonds, and one from the flaws down at the bottom. So we need one more here. And if necessary, ignore the whole alignment thing that they put at the end of the ideals, and just which one of those sounds the most fun to you to play with. One. And I agree with that entirely. One of the bonds. One sounds very much like me personally. That one could fit with all the various tools your character is carrying at this point. But again, whichever one of these speaks to you the best, run with it. Um, Under the haunted one background, there's I think it's under bonds, where there's spirits that talk to you. So I went full on Dresden Files with it and started talking to Bob, which nobody but me could hear. Always thought that was kind of funny. I kind of like that bullying one too. I mean, some of these can be a little difficult to run with, and then others it's like, that sounds completely like me. So yeah, we're down to one of the bonds and one of the flaws. Howdy, Phantom Omaha. Welcome. Glad folks are stopping by. We hope that people are having a decent day. Unfortunately, Miss Adika isn't feeling her best at the moment, so she's laying down. Um, in the meantime, we are working with uh, our patron, Andres, aka Alex, and helping to 4 or 5. Yeah, you can roll. Absolutely. Uh, Although if you roll, it might end up as something other than 4 or 5. So, again, as far as that would be, it would just be a simple, like, as far as in Discord, because it's the 1d6 rather than 4. Um, but yeah, hopefully we should have things put together enough so that we'll have uh, we'll be able to have our one shot not only finished but tested right here on our channel, so that we can follow up with that by being able to feature. Okay. Do you want me to roll or do you want to use the Discord bot? Either way is fine. If you do use the Discord, then it's just the 1d6 instead of 4d6. It's kind of fun sitting here and making characters with folks, and hearing some of the ideas that folks have. Um, But again, I can roll I can roll for you on my end, or you can hop into the Discord and roll. However you want to do this, works just fine. I don't mind at all. That's one of the great things about being able to use Discord and the bot is for those folks who don't have dice yet, because I've noticed I didn't have a whole lot of dice, and then I started playing D&D, and now I've got quite a few sets. Okay, a 6, so that would be that last one. That one's kind of interesting. Um, Actually, Pike had I think Pike had ended up that as one of her bonds, and was why she kept turning down Scanlan. We've got one more, and that'll be the flaws. You can either roll for it again or just pick. Either one works just fine. Um, as far as any specific character details, we can always go into that kind of thing separately if you'd prefer. That has a tendency to get a little more nitpicky, I guess. And having a delay on something like that can cause some issues. Um, Not that I have a problem with taking the time to go ahead and write everything out, but um, we do have access other places and things like that. So whatever works best for you, um, we're we're available at least for another full hour. Um, but mostly we're just looking to put some things together so that we can uh, get our. Okay, go for it. Roll for it. Um, we've got our one shot coming up, which I've actually had to expand a bit. Um, and it's going to take place in a very unusual mining town uh, with the players kind of being pulled in uh, as there's been a cave in the mines, and the mines are important to keep the town alive. So the party is needed to. For someone who brews their own beer, that is actually perfect. The number 4. That is like perfect for that kind of character. Alignment, you'd chosen good under your ideals at least. But again, I have issues with alignment as is. Uh, I mean, personally, I'd go neutral good, but that's me. Any of those kind of works. As far as faith, I'd probably have to go through my pantheon a bit to try and figure out who would best fit this kind of character. Um, that's why these kinds of things are always a lot harder for me personally to fill out. Um, as for this, though, for somebody who has glass blowing tools, weaving tools, and brewing tools, I'm gonna guess either comfortable or wealthy. But it's more, what is your character most used to? Are they used to being able to get really, really good places to stay? Or are they more the type to, I'll grab whatever's handy just so that I have a roof over my head because I'm busy doing other stuff? Uh, or we can just wait on coming to that and getting that part done. Entirely up to you. Um, Again, those kinds of things are the things that I tend to have trouble with as a as a player, because when you're designing your character, trying to figure out all those little the little details that actually inform you on how your character would respond to certain situations um, can often lead to long hours of going down rabbit holes of, well, what if this corner case happened? Let's see. A brewer. What do you think of that for the name? Shard Blackwood. Shard referring to his glass blowing abilities, and Blackwood kind of being a cross between Blackbriar from Skyrim and Briarwood from Critical Role. Okay, so as far as that does sound more like a neutral good, where not necessarily where law is a little more nebulous as far as you're concerned, but you still tend to put other people first, if that makes sense. I'm glad you like the name. Uh, that's usually how I end up doing naming, is just what sounds good to me. What name best fits this character? Either that, or I just kind of make it up as I go. One of my characters, Mayor Edith Rovid Hugh, uh, that that works too. Uh, so likely comfortable as far as lifestyle. Is maybe comfortable rather than wealthy because of the occasional having to pay off bar tabs or damages. Does that kind of sound perfect? Cool. We'll worry about faith in a bit because I need to go over my pantheon and try and figure out where which of the gods kind of fits this character the most. As far as physical characteristics, we can go over that kind of separately before we get to the actual one shot, if that's okay. Just because that way we're not having to worry so much about the back and forth with the delay between chat and stream. Because I know there's like a few seconds at least between the events that are actually going on and by the time you guys actually get to see it. So because of that, if it's okay, I mean I can always come back to it, but I figured we could go ahead and go to the major choices here, being your weapons and basic gear. Um, and I'm just to mention it, I'm going to mark this just so you can see what your options are. If you'd rather the short sword, that works just fine. Um, I mean, it all depends on what works best for you. Um, and we'll do the same thing with the two packs so you can see what each one comes with and that kind of thing. Um, Javelin. Okay, Javelin. Let's see. The Dungeoneers pack gives you a backpack, crowbar, hammer, 10 pitons, 10 torches, a tinderbox, 10 days of rations, and a water skin, and 50 feet of rope. While the Explorers pack is the backpack, bedroll, mess kit, tinderbox, torches, rations, water skin, and rope. So you don't have like some of the climbing gear. That's about it. Because this is you don't have the crowbar, the hammer, or the pitons. Everything else is the same. The only difference is instead of these tools, you get sleeping stuff. So either one of those should be fine. And just because it kind of fits the best, I'm going to go ahead and give you all three of the tool sets. I'll add the other ones after we get your starting equipment set up. So the question at this point comes down to, do you want the Dungeoneers pack or the Explorers pack? And then we can go from there. Explorer? Okay. So we'll add that. We'll go back and fix the gold, because that's how I do things. Okay. Also, just to mention it, there will be a few other. There will be the option to get a hold of some additional items during the one shot, but so hold on to your money at the moment, because it might come in handy during the actual game. Let's see. You also had the glass blowers. And the weavers. There you go. So, this will be your character sheet here. It is set to public. And I'll work out a way to try and get things worked out so you'll be able to access your character directly when you need to. Let me go ahead and apply what we can. Yeah, there we go. So here's your character. Whoops. Let me get a... That's not what I was looking for. Oh, there. Whoops. That should allow you to take a direct look at it. I will set things up to make it easier for you to be able to access your character directly, especially when we actually get down to doing the specific one shot as we go. one of the characters of which, no problem. Thank you for being willing to join us for this. I know that some of this is a little unusual, uh, especially for some people. I know for me this is all very new, especially starting to set up the one shot for a proper stream. Even if we end up just recording it because of editing reasons and that kind of thing, production value. Um, I don't know if the one shot, we will be doing at least one live one shot for sure eventually. I don't know exactly when. This first one we may end up recording um, in order to be able to release it separately, if only because making sure of no technical difficulties or that kind of thing. But I might just go ahead and, once things are ready and schedules are all figured out, we might just end up jumping into it as a live thing. With this being one of the main characters, which you'll notice we have not done a whole lot with this character yet. Um, Mostly because I want to talk to the person like Andres, aka Alex, who that last character was created for. This character is also uh, has also been created for someone. Um, so I'll need to actually come back to that. Uh, I'm hoping for a chance to be able to sit down and talk to him and be like, "Hey, what would you like for your character?" That kind of thing. But he's a busy man, and well, okay, it's for those who may have picked up on it. Uh, Mayor Edith Rovid Hugh is a character that is very, very loosely based on David Hewlett of Stargate Atlantis fame. Hence the Mayor Edith, because Dr. Rodney McKay's real first name was Meredith. So that's why he's now the mayor. That's the entire reason that happened. That'll fix that. Uh, so yeah, I'll end up coming back to this character in order to fix those kinds of things. Um, some of the things that we have, I mean, we spend all day, every day for the past uh, year at least, putting together all these homebrew items, some of which need adjustments. The more I learn about the game, the more I realize some of these early homebrews need some serious work. Others, however, are very neatly balanced and worked upon. Um, this one, this one I blame on Critical Role. Those earrings that everybody had. Same basic concept, but a little more powerful. Little harder to get. You got to know certain high-ranking people. Um, Torrens combat boots, which are these are just boots that have a pair of daggers, um, one in each toe. I mean, little things like that. That one was probably based on Bond. Um, this is one of my favorites, though. It's just a teddy bear. That's all. Its stats are ones all the way around. So that should tell you just how it seems like it should be worthless, which was the intention. It's supposed to be kind of the filler bit for the bag of bears here, which is based on a bag of tricks. But the bag of bears replaces all the creatures with bears. Unfortunately, there are only so many bears in D&D, and I didn't want to throw owl bear in there. So grizzly, panda, Kodiak, all those had to be custom statted. And I threw the stuffed bear in because I couldn't think of anything else to put in its place. And that bag of bears, that specific stuffed bear, has actually ended up saving the party more than once. Um, these these are Wolverine claws. I mean, inspiration comes from all over the place, but I mean, who hasn't loved the idea of, hey, I want claws like Wolverine? Well, there they are. uh, the field medic is based on just a basic scout, but you load him up with a bunch of healing potions in order to help the rest of the troops, and all of a sudden, you've got a loot drop for your players. Should they take out the right guy? You know what I mean? Um, this one, this one is for the one shot. So keep an eye out, Andres, when we actually get to the one shot. There will be Zoblin Gombies. which exactly what it looks like. It's a zombie goblin, goblin zombie. Hence the whole Zoblin Gombi thing. Uh, that's actually inspired by Chewy at the Manipool, who is currently streaming. Um, sorry, Chewy, because I know that technically we may be taking up some of his viewers, although I doubt it. Uh, we're not that big yet. We're hoping to get there. Uh, also, D&D Beyond, for anybody who is new to D&D and is looking to, yeah, yeah, combat can get interesting. Um, however, if it helps, over here at D&D Beyond, you'll notice up here in the list there is a new player's guide, and this can help you learn how to play certain characters and certain ways of doing things. In addition, we also have that playlist from Critical Role themselves, which they'll go over quick builds for different races and different classes and different things like that in order to help players get into the game a little easier and a little smoother. I know we've got other tips and stuff scattered over here somewhere. Uh, okay, that's not it. I know I have other links. I just don't know exactly. I don't remember offhand what they are. But yeah, so coming up, we will be having a very interesting one shot that will be entering things. Um, it should be interesting. I do hope it's enjoyable at least. Honestly, it has been a serious headache writing some of it. Uh, Worth it, but with my with my brain the way it is, if I write too much or if I spend too much time focusing on any one thing in particular, I end up with very, very bad migraines that leave me blind for hours. And that's never good. Um, so, yeah, hopefully, we'll be featuring that one shot that I've been working on before too long. Um, for those who might DM, uh, I was able to uh, be dungeon master for 6 months without ever buying anything for the game, mostly because not having the money for it. But regardless of that, let's see, say 4 level 1 characters would mean, let's see, for 4 level 1 characters, wow, at 3, the Zoblingambis become hard. Sorry, I should have muted. Uh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on those. Um, so the more people that we're able to get into the game for the one shot, uh, the better chance there is of surviving certain encounters. Um, Strategy also has a lot to do with that. That's another thing to keep in mind. But this here allows you to hmm. Well, to quote the great Matt Mercer, you can certainly try. Yeah, one of the things that they have added is this encounter builder to help DMs. However, from my existing encounters, This one. Yes, this is what the party was up against. And they decided, hey, we're level 2. We can handle it. You'll notice at the very top, this is way beyond the the difficulty for 5 players of level 2. And yet they kept insisting, nope, we're going to charge in. Okay. Um, as a DM, I will sit there and I will allow my players to do whatever comes to mind, so long as the rules and the dice will allow it to happen. However, player choices are player choices. Yeah, hags can be absolutely brutal. Um, Especially what was not seen in that was the encounter actually ended up getting worse. Um, let's see, they ended up. Let's see, let's edit this to where it was. This had gotten cut down to, they'd had 4 left of those. Both of those had left, only to be swapped out. You'll notice the numbers up there on the encounter summary explaining XP and all that kind of thing. Except this was the point they were at. And their decision was, keep fighting. You'll notice the CR difference between the Coven variant and the regular variant. Oh, absolutely. Actually, all of the above, technically speaking. I mean, in theory, you could use the glass blowing to make a glass tip that could be filled with alcohol with a fuse on it. Well, that usually ends up coming down on the rolls. Let's see. Perception, +4. So, if their perception is higher than a character's stealth roll, then they will be able to sense the person. And that's a 19 on a single roll. And I rolled a 15, but you add the +4 on perception, and that's when you end up with the whole 19. That's, I mean, if you're Vaxeldon, doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, he was rolling like well into the 30s on his stealth toward the end. You'll notice they can breathe air and water, so they can't drown. Very limited on spell abilities, but they can make themselves entirely invisible. And yeah, that's what ended up convincing the players that if the hags are going to let you run, run fast as you can. uh, because what, and the only reason why I don't bring it up is because I don't have the monster manual unlocked on here. I have, uh, I have an actual physical monster manual, so that's why this kind of thing doesn't really bother me. But in those terms, what doesn't get mentioned is once they hit a coven, 3 hags, then those hags get a pool of spells that they can all cast from, which is why you notice the CR go from 3 to 5. And they were up against 3 CR5 hags. So when the hag sat there and with 2 lightning bolts nearly wiped out the entire party, and one of the hags leans in close to the paladin who is kind of insisting on continuing the fight, and the hag whispers invisibly directly into his ear, "Flee or fall." And so they fled. Uh, Luckily, that's one of the reasons why it didn't end up as a TPK. In fact, not a single one of the players' characters died. However, technically, there would be a way to do that. As far as D&D stats, I'd actually have to do some work on something like that. In fact, one of the other things, I haven't done it yet, but I want to kind of take a look at something real quick. There we go. Because, as Alex knows at least, we are working on something along these lines. You'll notice that that does now look like it's a typo. It is not a typo. I am looking to make a gelatinous cub. Oh, they don't have bear as an option? Probably not. Or a beast. Nope. Okay. So, what I'm looking to do is make a bear-shaped gelatinous cube. Why? Because with a bear-shaped gelatinous cube, you suddenly have a gummy bear. So I'm going to have to... This is usually how I end up making something homebrew. I take a template of something, go through, learn what each of those things it does, and then go back through and adjust it with whatever changes need to be made. Currently, I'm not... I am not sure. So, why don't we find out? I know that there are various types of oozes, which kind of all alters how things get viewed and that kind of thing. So let's see what we have here. Black pudding. There's the gelatinous cube. View details page. That's what we're looking for. Maybe this will tell us. It doesn't. Engulf. Okay. Takes up the entire space. They can be seen but have total cover. 3d6 acid damage. Ouch. It doesn't really say. I mean, I'm sure that that could be figured out, worked out some way, shape, or form. Depending on what it eats, of course. Hang on a second. Is that Matthew Mercer? It sounds like it. Huh. So yeah, basically it would be taking everything that the gelatinous cube can do, and then maybe altering some of this with. Okay, the challenge rating would definitely go up because it would have the abilities of a gelatinous cube plus some of the abilities of a bear. So it wouldn't go up too high because it would also make the bear slower, that kind of thing. It's finding that balance that's the issue most of the time. Um, Balancing things can be very, very difficult. Wow. That that could be a trip. Uh, for now, I'm just going to kind of save this as it is. Um, Mostly because it usually takes a long time for me to sit here and read through things for research and find the things that I need to swap things in and out and so on and so forth. Um, some ideas end up awesome. Others end up with me having to go, okay, this isn't working quite the way I would hope, but I need to check on this or that or adjust so and so stat for whatever. Um, it's the same way with certain things like I'm still trying to get all the things properly figured out for the. Where is he? For this background as the equipment hasn't been properly showing up on the character creation stuff. Um, but it is starting to come together. We've got these going. Um, I've got 26 Guardians I got to figure out. No. Yes, 26 Guardians I have to figure out. All of which are different gemstones. Um, it's kind of weird how much of trying to convert a world that was written for narrative and put that into game stats is certainly not easy. Um, the Sapphire Guardian. If anybody out there is playing in any of my games, the Sapphire Guardian is currently within the town of Bodhi. Uh, Depending on who the player is, they might figure out exactly where that is and who I'm talking about. Um, but the Guardians keep the Guardians protect towers that are made of pure crystalline material. Uh, they also have a particular amount of magical energy that radiates from them. However, certain artifacts that are tied to each of those towers, if certain things happen in certain ways, then it's quite possible the world will blow up. Kind of depends on how players tend to react to certain things. So in some ways, it can get a little eh, frustrating and confusing and complicated. Um, but yeah, whoa, that the artwork here just makes me think of Whiterun. Um, Sorry, it's starting to get a bit late. Miss Adika is up, and I know she hasn't been feeling well, and I'm trying to stretch things here without going into creating something else all entirely brand new. Um, Vehicles. This is actually something I do need to start studying a bit more. We have some custom ship work that I have in mind. We've got some. I'm not messing with those. So far, we haven't had any need for any of the infernal machines, although that doesn't mean they couldn't make appearances. But again, these are all things from uh, items that we don't currently have. A lot of our stuff is more piecemeal as far as on here on D&D Beyond. Um, One of the great things about that is you can buy just the bits and pieces that you need. You don't have to buy like the entire book to get it. But when you do buy little bits and pieces, then the overall price for stuff goes down, which is always great, especially for somebody who is low on funds. Um, I mean, we've got all kinds of things that you can use here. There are, and for those folks who are interested in D&D, I'm more than happy to sit and chat about nothing but while we stream our other games and that kind of thing. If folks would be interested, we do have our usual schedule. We try and be here as much as possible. Um, and even when we're not streaming, we do try our best to keep at least one person in chat at all times. Um, However, uh, I'm glad you're having fun. I enjoy the amount of time that I spend on the work for D&D, and uh, I do love being able to relax with folks when we play our regular games and just chat. But it's the D&D work that well, not just D&D in part. D&D tends to be a catch-all, especially nowadays for tabletop gaming in general. Um, but I mean, we've got more than just our fifth edition stuff that we're working on. We've got a game that we're working on regarding trying to help folks with anxiety learn healthy coping methods in order to try and make getting through the day a little easier, as well as to help those who might not have anxiety as badly to understand what other folks are going through. Because by understanding what folks are going through, the more cooperation we tend to have as human beings. And I mean, we're all in it together, folks, right? The more we can be there for each other, and the less division we keep adding to things, the better off we as a species can be. Um, and just because I haven't actually looked at this since it was released, when I think artificer, I tend to think Venser from Magic the Gathering. Mostly because Venser was an artificer. That's how he was viewed. But he also happened to be a planeswalker. Um, okay, so artificers would mean a lot of enchanted items, right? Magical tinkering. Yeah, I believe it should be in the next Eberron book. I know that I've got yeah, knowing knowing what your triggers are for anxiety, as well as having the right support system personally, I believe is what will help folks the most get through any day. Life is hard. Life is always going to be hard. Things are going to be difficult. But the more we can be there for each other, the more we can understand what someone's going through and be like, hey, I get it, and I'm here if you need to talk. Even that can be enough to help somebody sit there and be like, you know what? Thank you. I don't necessarily need to talk right now, but knowing that there's somebody there is enough to help me get through this day. And if nothing else, we want to try to be able to do that for folks. So we try and keep somebody here in chat at all times. If not here, then over on Discord. Although, me being me, I am currently in the Twitch channel on 3 different screens, as well as 2 different Discords. So, yeah, if folks need somebody to talk to, there's somebody around as long as one of us is conscious and within the office. And since we work from home, well, we're always in the office. Now, if I'm working, I might not necessarily be looking directly at the screen and might not catch somebody saying something right away. And if that's the case, just be like, hey, are you still here? And give us a few minutes to be able to reply, but usually we should be able to. They've got some really cool stuff in here. Ooh. In addition, the bot on our Discord will also assist with looking information up or rolling dice or, I mean, all kinds of different things. So if folks are interested and don't have the Discord currently, well, just posted the invite right there. And yeah, we're starting to run low on things to say at the moment without digging in for an entire new build. Artillerist. That could be interesting. I'll have to consider that. A flamethrower? Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to take some time to look through all the options for Artificer. But white screen, a lot of writing, and with all the work we've done so far, that is almost guaranteeing a really bad migraine. And I'd rather not go blind while I'm still in the air, because then it makes it difficult to, shut down the stream when it's time. Um, so yeah, I really hate to do it this early, but I want to make sure that I can check on Miss Adika, see if she's feeling any better, and if not, see what I can do to maybe help. We will be hosting Critical Role over here on twitch.tv/wolvesdengames. So if folks would like to come over and watch with us when they're on, you are more than welcome to. But I completely understand if you'd rather be over there or have other things to do. Let's do that just to make things a little easier. I do apologize for us cutting a little earlier than even intended. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I do have a few things I need to take care of myself, and trying to make sure that I stay available for other things. Plus, of course, there's still the one shot that I got to finish writing so that we can go ahead and test it with that new character, Shard Briarwood. Briarwood? Yeah, no. Something like that. We'll get it figured out. But yeah, I do have very specific things that I need to get finished up so that we can actually get to that um, one shot as far as us being able to stream it, whether it's recorded or not. Shard Blackwood, that's right, that's right. Uh, so yeah, we'll be able to get our game going with Shard Blackwood here before too much longer, I hope. I just got to finish writing it, so as long as things get done as far as that's concerned, then we should be able to have this done. I'm hoping to be able to start testing the one shot by a little after Thanksgiving, if that isn't too big of an issue schedule wise. Otherwise, we can always adjust everything as needed. Um, Sorry about that. Uh, Sometimes you gotta stay ahead of things, you know. But yeah, we should hopefully be able to get the one shot tested um, little after Thanksgiving. I'm hoping that if we can get things done well enough, not only will this first one shot be ready in time for Christmas, but hopefully we should have a second one in the works to follow that one up for to hopefully have released by January. So if we can stay a month ahead of ourselves here as we move forward from here on, then we should be able to get everything out in a lot more uh, reasonable fashion. Um, and for those folks who have joined us on Patreon, many thanks for all of that, Bay and Andres, aka Alex. Um, that has been uh, that has brightened our days in ways that I can't even properly express. But in return, we do hope to bring a much um, better quality stuff moving forward. We have plans as far as things we'll be showing, um, that kind of thing. And actually, it looks like our timing is just about perfect. Um, I'm going to go ahead and grab Carl so he can go ahead and do our outro. For those of you who are willing to stick around with us through Critical Role, they are actually starting right now. So by the time we're done with our outro and everything, we'll have that hosted, and folks are more than happy to, or more than it is perfectly okay for folks to just chill with us here. If you'd rather hop over to Critical Role and watch them there, that's fine too. Thank you all for joining us for this stream today. And tomorrow we will be on at our usual time, health permitting, and we do hope to see you then. So until then, I'm going to grab Carl. Thank you all so much for joining us. I do hope that you're quite happy with your Shard Blackwood there, and if there's anything else you'd like to adjust or figure out, you know where to find us. So until next time, folks, I'm Garoy Lork here, and I will catch you all next time. So until then, bye for now. Thank you all for joining us. Long days and pleasant nights. Please give us a follow at twitch.tv/wolvesdengames. Jate ka nade, or good night, everyone.